Hey Sparker, so I got one other video for you today that I wanted to show. This is actually something I just realized or just learned today. Didn't really realize how this worked before, but wanted to show you how the amp model tone here interacts with the preset tone settings that you have. It's not necessarily obvious unless you kind of play with it and figure it out, and that's what I sort of did. So basically the way it works is if you have a tone selected, let's say I have I don't know, let's use one that I created. So this Bush Glycerin tone that I made a while ago, right? So that uses this tread plate amp model, and what you can do by changing this model control, you can actually just change the amp model itself, but all the other settings, like let's say I have a compressor on, in this case I only have the noise gate and the reverb, but this control only changes the amp model, and there's basically all these preset amp models that you can select from just this tone selector, but whatever else you're already using in your chain is going to retain those settings. So if I'm using my tone that I created, I can go to these default amp models, and for acoustic that's this Jumbo amp, for bass it's this RB800, for clean it's this Blackface Duo, for glassy it's this Two-Stone SP50, for crunch it's this JM45, high gain is the American high gain amp model, and then metal is the 5153. So those default amp models are always selectable no matter what preset you're on. And so, if you're using one of the default tones for alternative, like Angry Monkey, you can slightly change that sound. Right now, it uses match DC, but if I change it over here, it uses one of those 8 default amp models. So that's just an interesting little tidbit that I didn't realize how that worked, where if I have a preset tone that uses a bunch of different signals, but I just want to quickly change the amp model to one of those 8 default settings, right? There's acoustic bass is 2, clean is 3, glassy is 4, crunchy is 5, high gain is 6, and metal, 7, I counted wrong. So yeah, you have access to those default amp models at any time you want. I realized this the other day when I saw, when I thought I changed to a clean tone, and I thought all these settings were default for clean, but I heard some of these different effects that were in the chain from the previous setting. I was like, wait a second, that doesn't sound completely clean. That's when I realized that it retained all of the other presets in my signal chain, and it only changed the amp model. So just something to keep in mind. It's something that sort of caught me off guard and surprised me a little bit, but now it makes sense. So thanks.